No crew, heavy rainfall, a kit lens, and an iPhone. That's all it took to make the new music video. I thought it was going to be impossible, but what I didn't know was that this was going to be the most creative project I've ever done. So I'm just going to be talking a little bit about the music video and the process that went behind making it. I went to Mumbai for like a week. The first few days, we tried, me and my cousin Ruchit, who's acted as the subconscious in the music video, and danced. Him and I both sat down together. I told him the entire idea, and the day we were supposed to shoot, something unfortunate happened and we couldn't shoot it. And it was the last day I was in Mumbai, and that was the day we had to shoot the music video because on Saturday I was about to leave. So we had to shoot the entire music video in 5 hours. Shout out to Dynamic Dance Studios that helped us with the space and just let us film there. So the music video is heavily inspired by this movie called The Lighthouse, which came out in 2019. Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe. I think the 4:3 aspect ratio paired with the black and white film really inspired me to then focus on the emotions and the composition of the shots rather than the landscapes and capturing the whole environment. Because in Momentum, my goal was to make everything look really fast, make me look like the main character is in a space and he exists in an environment. But with this one, I wanted to make sure that it felt like, it's just a space that's happening in the mind. So that's the reason why the aspect ratio is 4:3. I did some research and found out some really cool cinematography principles like the dominant eye, symmetry, the triangles, golden ratio, and stuff like that. And I wanted to try and implement that to an extent in the music video. So that's like the whole background of the music video. So let's start off with this scene. So the thing that I did was I put the compass on the table, and then I took these magnets and I just rotated the magnets around so that the needle would move. And the main idea for this shot was to then depict the fact that the person that's being referred to in the music video is directionless and the mind's wandering.
Ships that wait for perfect winds never sail. If you can, you should do it. Life rewards action.
So there's an interesting story about the shadow scene. I would like to refer to it as a shadow scene. So what happened was when we went into the studio, we found that there was a green screen lying around from the previous day's shoot. And this is really interesting because 2 days before the shoot, in my dream, I had this idea of using a curtain as a backdrop, putting a light from the other side of the curtain, and then standing in between the curtain and the light so that the shadow is projected so much larger and so much more bigger than the actual person that it feels like, yes, this is something that's actually happening, but you can't see stuff. You can only feel that it's happening, but you cannot see the face. You cannot see the emotions. You can only see the silhouette. So you don't know actually what's happening behind it. So the whole point of using this shot with like the subconscious being in the reflection and the person being in the actual frame was to like create some sort of an offset and some sort of like, what the hell's going on? Why is he not there? But it's over here. To create that offset, because I mean, if you're going to be watching a music video that's story driven, you might as well try and ask questions about what's going on, right? And with the grade of the video, I was actually going to go with the exact grade that was on the film Lighthouse. And I found this really cool trick of color grading in monochrome, because people think like, hey, monochrome's color grading easy. You just turn down the saturation to 0 and you're done. But it's not that. The RGB values, and you change that, and that changes how much whites and blacks and midtones there are in the shot, stuff like that. So when I had that ready, I just told the idea to one of my uncles. And what he told me was that, I should probably try and go with a filtered look on the black and white, because a simple monochrome wouldn't help you stand out, because that's what everybody does. So do something that's a little bit different. So what I did was I applied a 2383 Kodak print on top of this, and then I think I applied one of the black and white film stocks that I have as a lookup table, and that really helped it give the off white and a little bit of um a purplish tint to the shadows, and I think that really made the video stand out compared to all the black and white videos you see that come out on a daily basis. So yeah. So this scene was shot actually from the fan. So what I did was I took my iPhone, I turned on the 0.5x zoom, and what I did was I just like took a double tape and taped the iPhone to the fan, and it just told my mom to, hey, just be in the corner, and whenever I say start and stop, just like, turn on the fan and turn off the fan, so that it wouldn't be too fast. But if it was too slow, it would be like a dead giveaway that, hey, it's shot from a fan. So that was a really cool shot. And I think Clayton liked the shot a lot. I think he told me that twice, that he loved the fan shot a lot. And I'm like, cool. I mean, if Clayton likes it, it's good. While I was moving in June from my old place to the new place, I had this IKEA cupboard that was not that good, and that was on the brink of breaking down and breaking out. And the initial idea was to break the entire cupboard, but then, as it turns out, it wasn't possible to then rebuild the cupboard just to break it. So I was like, hey, we'll just take the door and we'll metaphorically present it as like, you're breaking down the door from the past to then go into the future. And I think that's a really cool concept, because the thing that always keeps us stagnated is something that we align ourselves with our past, or like who we are or who we think we are, and not where we want to go. And I think the door is a representation of that. So this is me trying to be more serious about like, hey, I'm actually reflecting on the past. This was an improv. Oh, I love this scene. Just layering in composite. So this scene again was shot on the 0.5x on an iPhone 13 to then give it the fish eye look. And what I did was I just added a shit ton of radial blur, just to give across the vibe that my subconscious is actually mad at me and it's trying to follow me to tell me something that I'm clearly trying to avoid listening to. This one thing that Sean Ash told me when I sent him the first draft was that despite the fact how much your subconscious is actually acting, but the effect of your subconscious on you as a person is something that really is the big deal. And that's so profound, because that's exactly what's happening in this scene, is that at one point the subconscious is taking action, and you can see the consequence in the real world with this follow-up scene and like, chase scene of sorts. So we had like 5 hours to do everything, and this was like the last, like literally, this was the last shot that we shot after having done everything. I know him and I both were dehydrated. We wanted to eat food, but my brother pushed me saying like, "Hey, this is the last scene. Let's just do it, and then we can go." and have food, and we ended up having a really good biryani. Applying the rule of thirds here for the people that care is to, like, put myself on the one third, then have some sort of negative space and the implication of me being present in a space rather than it just being about me, because here the subconscious is really frustrated with me because I'm like, I'm always looking away from my subconscious because I'm so afraid to face it. So the build up into the breakdown, this is more of like, a scene about self agony and frustration with oneself. It's about, like, looking in the mirror and saying, like, what the fuck happened to me? Like, why am I here? Like, how did I make myself the way I am? I wasn't supposed to be like this and stuff like that. So that's the feeling that I tried to portray. And you will see some visible frustration and some seriousness um, leading into the breakdown. So this scene right here about the mirror being broken is actually foreshadowing of what's gonna come, but I just wanted to put it before it actually got broken down to give it a sense that, wait, what's going on? Like, why is it broken already? What happened? And then showing what happened to then build the anticipation of it. So this is actually shot again with the 0.5x on the iPhone 13, a frame within a frame. And frame within a frame is actually one of my favorite concepts from cinematography, because I feel like it just adds to the geometry of the composition and it just looks good to me. I just like looking at a frame within a frame. And the fact that it's square too gives it a really good edge. It's the stare down. I was so nervous breaking this because I didn't want to create a scene in the neighborhood. It was a hard thing to do. Okay, so this eye scene, I just had the idea of, like, hey, there's a symbol, so there has to be some sort of, like, disruption. Okay, now his eyes opened. He actually knows something that he didn't know earlier. And that's why after the eye is opened in this scene, you see I'm trying to fuse with my subconscious a little bit. The line between me and my subconscious is starting to blur, and that's a good sign, actually. This scene is so special because this is all one take and this is not choreographed at all. My brother actually improvised everything on spot, and it's so awesome that he could do that. It's so cool. So I didn't have a fog machine, so I just asked my mom if I could borrow some coal that she uses for rituals. And the stare downs are just me being emotionless, reflecting, because you hardly see people being emotional when they're reflecting. If somebody's reflecting, they'll be lost. They'll be in their own minds, and that's exactly what I wanted to show. So this is like culmination of everything that's going on in the head before the final breaking point. The breaking point's about to come. This is the climax. And the subconscious pushes me out of the frame, out of the picture, indicating that, dude, I've had enough of you. You could go back and do all the bullshit you can, but I don't think I'm going to let you live your life like this, and I'm taking over. And so you see the way I fall, I'm actually being thrown out of the frame, indicating that my subconscious is actually taking over me and by actually overpowering me. There are two versions of this scene. The version where I actually fall with force, and the version where I just let myself loose and I'm like, okay, you win, I lose. I feel defeated and you're right. the goal and the intention of the fall was to show that I feel defeated and I feel wrong, and that's like an ego death and like a humbling experience of like, whatever I thought my reality was has come crashing down, and maybe the subconscious is trying to tell me something and I should listen to it. So that's the goal. And everything before the slow motion scene is so fast that when the slow motion scene comes in, it hits 10 times harder. That's why creating contrast in your music videos, creating contrast in your songs, creating contrast in the visuals really help differentiate and really help create impact on the scenes that really matter the most. That's the reason why speaking with silence actually creates so much more impact. Cut is my favorite scene of the entire music video. I really love that match cut, and the match cut actually represents that, me and my subconscious are actually on the same trajectory, because you see the first half of the spin is actually the subconscious, and the second half of the spin is me completing that rotation, and to depict that we are both in sync now and I'm no longer trying to question its authority. And this scene, it might not look like there's much to this. It's just a person sitting in a chair. But if you look at the composition and if you look at my face, it's two-faced. And it's actually intentional, because what it shows is that, the thing and the person I was and the person I am becoming are not the same anymore. And it's not the same figure. It's disfigured a little bit. It's me trying to morph into something else, and it's me trying to become a new version of myself. And that scene of me having my entire existence being blurred and stretched apart, that was a good metaphor for that situation and the scream analogy. And then the screen goes to black. You would assume that, hey, maybe the video is ended. The video was cool. It had a black and white look. But then this happens. There's fire. There's color. And yeah, I just feel like the fire getting ignited being the first shot of the colored sequence paired with David Maxim's incredible guitar solo was a really great way to give people the longing and the closure that's needed, along with the main character that needs that closure about the stuff, and the initial spark of then it being like, oh, there's a burst of fire and there's an actual light that's being emerged out of nowhere. That's like a great way to start the sequence. And this was my mom's favorite shot from the music video. And the thing that this represents is that now that the subconscious and I are both together, it's actually happy and thriving within me, with me, in my symbiosis and in my harmony now. And that's the reason why it's me and my I, but the real deal is the subconscious actually slowly moving and being more graceful with its move, and actually telling me that, yes, you made the right choice. You made the right decision, because life has truly rewarded your actions, my friend. Doesn't it just look good to see like a shattered glass burning on fire? We weren't able to burn the door down exactly. So what we ended up doing was, we took a lot of newspapers and we dipped them in acetone, and then we just lit them on fire instead. And it rained a little bit before shooting this sequence, so all the attempts of lighting up the match and trying to start a fire were not that great. and I actually lost hope. And I was like, hey, maybe it's not meant to be. Maybe I should just go and like maybe the best thing to do was to make a playthrough video, because like that's the easiest thing to do. You just sit down and you film yourself playing the song that you've spent so many hours and so many days and so many months perfecting, and then just put it all together and just ship it, and people will love it. But I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to tell a story. I wanted to give my whole self, because that's exactly what I wrote about in Within. Anyway, so I love this scene a lot, and the zooms are a really great touch. I added all the zooms in post. You see the fire is literally moving in conjunction to David's solo, and I think that's a great touch. This was also a great touch. One interesting thing to look at here is that every single time there's a shot of subconscious in the colored format, you'll see that there's like some sort of radial blur around it, because I didn't want it to feel like the subconscious actually exists in the real world and in the real space. So I wanted to give that sort of dreamy and that sort of imaginative vibe to it. So that's how I use radial blurs to make that happen. This is the moment of reflection. This is the moment of leaving behind the past and burning the doors to open new ones. The title card is actually in the end of the video. And I think I've seen that in a few movies where the title card is actually in the end of the video. And that just has so much impact, because everybody puts the title card in the start. But when you put the title card in the end, not only does it show that, okay, everything's come together, everything's come full circle, but at the same time, it also shows that this is not the end. This is not the end. There's something more. And there is more. I'm going to be putting out more music with the same narrative and with the same amount of storytelling, but in a progressive way after this video. And this is going to be a good middle ground between Momentum and the next song that I'm going to be doing. And I'm just a big fan of movies, and I'm a big fan of short films. And the way this credits screen is made is very like, how they make short films. So the ending that I have right now was not the last ending. It was actually an alternate ending, and it was more focused around the subconscious. And this is how it looked like. You see, it's more focused and there are more shots of dancing. But then it made more sense to keep it a little bit more prey-centric, for it to then round it up all together from the reflection and moving forward perspective. So that was the process behind filming this music video. I hope you guys liked it, and let me know if you guys want to see a color grading breakdown of this, or like the editing breakdown of this, and to get more into the nitty gritties of it. But I just hope that this gives an idea to anyone watching for my intention and my psyche. I was actually very apprehensive about making this video, because since this is a video that's very focused on in-the-face visuals, and then the interpretation to then be up to the person who's watching this to then make out of whatever they want to think of it. And I just thought I would share my perspective and the way I have related these things with my life and the creative decisions that I took to make this come to life. But that being said, this video could be about anyone. You could be the main character, and you could be fighting your own problems, and you could be struggling to take that step of action. But I just hope that you realize that staying in that place, staying in that position is not really something you should do. And if you can, you should do it. Life rewards action.